you, because I know that some of you have other engagements. Let me start from behind, like just the opposite direction, answering the questions. As regard the Turkey Council, I believe that it's going to stay as it is at the moment, because I do not see any potential in the near future to turn it into an organization as you have described, the Arab League and the others, due to various reasons. There were some efforts in the past, like trying to bring together the Turkish-speaking countries, Turkic countries or whatever, but I believe that this did not find ground in some countries, not all countries it found ground, so at the moment it will stay as it is. As the situation regarding their application, some countries unfortunately blocked their drive to get the status, the observer status. Some countries for political reasons, and some other countries which are not convinced very much about the aims and the work of the Council. We're trying to convince these partners, but the others are doing it for totally political reasons without any background. As regards the relations with Israel, yes, definitely I agree with you that there's going to be a new era, a new time, especially after the elections in Israel yesterday, and I believe that we have to all read it very carefully. I have the pleasure of living in Israel for 2.5 years, so this was, as you would see, the first place of my career, and I have had wonderful time when there was the feeling of peace was prevailing at that time, 93. There was the agreement, a great leadership under Prime Minister Rabin, who was unfortunately murdered. So those days are in the past, and then I believe that, as Mr. Friedman today, I think, was saying, that it's a good news that the peace camp in Israel is still alive. There is a people, and I believe in the wisdom of the people of Israel, that would keep the peace alive, to live side by side with the Palestinians in such an honorable way, in a two-state solution with the 1967 borders. So I believe that the politicians in Israel will realize that it is also a wish of their own people to live in peace side by side with the Palestinians, and give the dignity and honor to the Palestinian people, which they unfortunately did not or could not have for so many years. In that sense, we were one of the supporters of Palestine getting the new status at the United Nations. We believed that we had to carry the status of Palestine to that level of Israel, so that there would be equal partners negotiating, and we believe that a negotiated settlement could be found. As regards Turkish-Israel relations, when you look the history of Turkish-Israeli relations, you will see that it is very much related with Israel's relation with the Palestinians. When there is a move towards peace, then our relations are getting better with Israel. So the unfortunate events of 2010 are still there. Unfortunately, we have lost 9 innocent civilians, and the requirement from Israel on the part of the Turkish people is very clear, and the requirements are there, and I believe that the Israeli people are also willing to make up this thing, and I think the Israeli politicians will realize that they need Turkey, and for that they will come to terms, and they will understand that it's time to apologize from Turkey for what they have done. I think Africa was the question, what is the criteria? Frankly speaking, we are the strategic partner of the African Union since 2008. So this has given the impetus to our efforts. it is the willingness on both sides. You know, the countries, African countries, are coming to us. They show interest. For example, Djibouti opened their embassy before we opened embassy there. Some countries do not at the moment show interest in opening embassies. It will take some time. For example, we plan to open almost in all African nations in the, let's say, next 10, 15 years, if possible. For logistic purposes, it is better to keep, you know, like accreditation from other embassies, but there is no particular criteria, this is it. But one thing I can tell you, that Turkish Airlines is going to fly to all and every single African country in such a short period of time. This is what the chairman said, that to every African country they will fly, I think, in the next 5 years. This is what they are planning to do. And one of the elements that is encouraging our foreign minister, I guess, is where Turkish Airlines is flying, the Turkish business people are going, Turkish entrepreneurs are going, and then we find ourselves opening an embassy in that country because we need the embassy and the consulate in those countries. So I believe that we shall increase the number in the near future. Do we want to be part of the European Union? I don't know, is it still alive? I was wondering, Mr. Cameron today was supposed to make a speech. I don't know after his speech if the European Union is alive. Yes, we want to take part in the European Union. We will take part in the Union. Even it takes like 100 years, we will take part. Because European Union is not the final aim. Getting into the European Union is the standard that we set for ourselves. European Union is today symbolizing the values that we share, and then being part of the European Union is not only economically getting prosperous or whatever, but being part of these values of the structure of values which is symbolized in the European Union. And the other thing which we always say, that world needs a strong Europe. This is what we always say, because in a multipolar system that is going to emerge, especially, as I said, the balance or gravity, center of gravity is shifting towards Asia. The United States, Asia, which is in the form of China, there is also a need for a very strong Europe. And for a strong Europe to be active in the international politics needs countries like Turkey, maybe even Ukraine, maybe even Russia in the very long run, but a strong Europe, together of course with Montenegro, Serbia, and probably we shall enter after them, but we definitely need a strong Europe. Turkish armed forces has been a symbol of, I would say, discipline, and they have fought in many wars, starting from the War of Liberation to the, the operation in Cyprus, before that in 1950 in Korea. They have always proved themselves to be a very reliable armed forces, second largest in NATO. Therefore, I believe that the Turkish nation and the Turkish people very much trust its army, its armed forces, and I believe that it will remain so in the future. We are, of course, what we believe that if you want to play a role in the international relations, you have to be very strong also economically, but also, in terms of military power. Otherwise, I think Mr. Hollande was saying about the operation in Mali, he was saying that if you are a world player, you have to have a strong military and then use this military when necessary. But using this military, I would say, we would, coming to the question of the lady, we would never ever, become a kind of a stray force which is out of control. Turkey has always been responsible member of the international community. We are a member of NATO. We have never created armed conflicts or other things in our neighborhood. As regards the missiles, they're not aimed at creating another war or whatever. We all know that we need from time to time deterrence, and deterrence in every sense requires sometimes to be prepared, not necessarily meaning that you use it. Otherwise, if you just get a gun, that doesn't make you automatically a killer, but it is just like for precaution. And I don't see Turkey getting into any adventure as regards, like regarding the missile systems or any other thing. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it.